down to consistent, uneven play when the season's typically move back?
I don't think I put my finger on one thing. I mean, I wasn't really in the locker room for that long either, which is not ideal. Only played 37 games, so. But we had 40 people walking in and out of our locker room this year. It was a interesting year on that side of things, and I think we just couldn't get it back on the rails in the end to get in. You get 94 points. Some years it gets you in, some years it doesn't. And, it's disappointing that this team isn't competing right now because we felt like, on paper, we had a team that could win it all.
So those last 8 games when you came back, Mark, just kind of where were you at physically?
I felt okay. Definitely take positives from a negative season, and I'm going to have time to to heal. It's never easy. Rehabbing injuries during the season, you always want to try and rush yourself back to get back in, and I think I made a couple mistakes throughout the season, trying to get back too quick, and obviously wanted to at least give it a try and help this team get in, and wasn't able to do so, but definitely disappointing.
In hockey, whenever there's a back injury, it's a little scarier, I guess. How confident are you that won't be an issue moving forward?
I'm confident. I've talked to a few players around the league that have gone through similar situations as me. Some that are still playing at 37, 38 years old, and were sitting on their couch at 30 thinking they were going to retire. So I'm confident. Now it's just on me to find the right advice, find the right kind of plan, and get it healed so this doesn't happen again.
With what it is, you can't reveal it. That's why the strain, herniated disc, whatever. But do you have to have a procedure, or is it something you can rehab through and be ready by the start of the season?
We've been off for 3-4 days. I'm still researching everything. I don't want just one guy to give his opinion. I want to talk to 5-6 guys and see where we go from here. And not just doctors. I want to talk to players who have been through similar situations and kind of hear their story and see where I can go from there. I don't want to just make a rash decision. And do a procedure that's not going to help. I want to make sure that I'm doing something that's going to benefit me, not just for next year, but for the 5 years that I have left in my contract, and hopefully sign a couple more after that.
In hindsight, would you have handled the All-Star break different?
In what sense?
Would you have maybe rested during the All-Star game or during that weekend knock-on out in that cold, and done the puck thing? Did that have any effect going forward?
No, I don't think that would have really had anything to do with anything. I think eventually it was going to go regardless. Playing NHL hockey games is hard. There's contact. You're trying to play 18 to 20 minutes a night. You can't cheat the game, and no, I don't think the All-Star game had anything to do with it at all.
As a leader of this team, Pete said his status will be evaluated later this week. Can you evaluate his status, the job you thought you did?
I mean, it's tough to look back on it so quick. And like I said, I wasn't in the locker room a ton. I thought he did a really good job at, kind of putting game plans together for the roster that we had. We had so many different guys coming in and out of our lineup for the entire season. Thought he did a really good job at keeping guys positive and trying to find solutions. It's tough though. As players, we take a lot of pride in winning, and as coaches, they take a lot of pride in winning. And when you don't, I think everybody looks at themselves in the mirror and thinks that and knows that changes are going to be made. But from ownership to management to coaching staff to players, we all feel that we have a group assembled that can contend in this league. And now it's about getting back to the hard work and culture. Can't let things dip any lower.
We've talked about maybe the scoring drying up, not just this season, but in the
offensive attack needs to change, or do you think maybe just the execution needs to be better?
I definitely got to change something. I look back on it too as the last playoff run, our power play was 5%. We're in the conference final with a power play that's 5%, so I don't think the offense really dried up. I think the power play dried up. You don't just get into those situations not scoring goals. You can't win every game 1-0. So I think that's got to change, and I think it was starting to come, unfortunately, at the wrong time. But also, when I look at our power play, we have to draw more penalties, and that could be our offensive zone. We're just not putting teams in tough enough situations to take penalties. But like I said, you have years like this, you're obviously going to look back and try and find solutions. You're going to have to change things. You change things every year, no matter what type of success. So we'll have to all kind of look and see as with leaders and coaches and try and figure out what we can do better.
I've asked a lot of the guys about identity and maybe how that kind of faded. Now, obviously, injuries are a part of that. As the captain, what do you think is the identity of this team? What do you think needs to be the identity?
Well, I think we've obviously added great players throughout the years into our lineup. And I think we've kind of let that slip a little bit. We're just going to win maybe sometimes with great players. The last 2 years, usually there was games at T-Mobile where the game was over in 5 minutes. We're up 2-3-0, putting teams on their heels, and I think we got to get back to having that killer instinct mindset, outwork your opponent, and then when you have the skill of the players we have, if you get that work ethic, it's going to be a tough team to beat.
In that way, can almost missing the playoffs help that this is a reminder, if we don't play that way, this is what happens?
Yeah, for sure. You have to take positives from everything. I think one positive is that. One positive is we had 15 guys get hurt this year. So there's going to be a little bit of time for recovery and see why those injuries happened. And it's just a little kick in the ass, figuring out why we let things slip. And it'd be interesting to talk with guys who have been here since day one, kind of build that camaraderie back. We made a lot of changes. We've added a lot of guys, and I think it would have been a lot different if we were able to put our normal lineup on the ice for the first 2 months of the season and getting that chemistry together. But we're definitely going to have to have a bigger emphasis on team chemistry, team camaraderie, and teamwork ethic for sure. I wouldn't say that the guys aren't working hard. I think it's just about kind of getting that killer instinct with that work ethic back.
So that being said, Mark, this was a team first year that was made up of players that no team wanted to promote the expansion. Now it's made up of prize acquisitions mid-season and off-season. Is this an off-season where instead of looking for another piece, build that chemistry with what you got? You said you like the room, make up the room, what's the salary cap issue? So build around this team now? Yeah,
for sure. Every team makes changes, so there's going to be some change, I'm sure. Teams win the Stanley Cup, you still make the odd change. But I think we've built a team that can contend, a team that can win. Now it's about the guys in the locker room, the coaching staff putting heads together and gelling as a group. Having that, like I said, having the motivation every night to work your opponents, play for one another, and learn how to win in this league, because we've obviously fallen short of our goal for me 4 years, and for the team 5 years. So we just want to win this. Watching games yesterday, it kills you to watch it. You know that you should be in there. We feel like we should be in there, and next year we got to come back and remember the feeling that day in St. Louis where the game really meant absolutely nothing.
From the outside, there was maybe some uncertainty with the goaltending the last couple of weeks. From the inside, how much did that affect you guys, and what role did that play in the last couple of weeks? You guys being able to look at that?
Well, I mean, we have a pretty tight group in the locker room. Obviously there's injuries to players, to goalies, so it was tough. But I think Logan did a good job giving us a chance to win those last 4 games. Just, we went 0 for 17 in the shootout, so I don't think it was really a goaltending issue.
You kind of touched on it. Just not that you guys don't like each other, there's not a togetherness, but the fact that you've added so many players, and then there were injuries and guys went on road trips, it just felt like you guys weren't all together. Do you think this off season can maybe solve some of that?
Yeah, I think we have a good training camp. I think our training camp is really important. Last season we had basically a month and a half to get ready for training camp. We lose out kind of towards the end of June. Guys take 3 weeks, 4 weeks to kind of recover. You played so many games in such a little time, and then we came back, and it wasn't a super crisp training camp. The guys weren't as excited to get to the rink, and I think next season, when you have these long off seasons, I've been through it a couple times. You get to the rink, you're excited to be there, you're fired up to be there, and you have to have that. And I think right from day one of training camp next season, we got to have that internal competition with each other, and kind of get back to that. And it's got to be a really competitive training camp next year.
You guys, pretty much everyone in here what went wrong in the season. Almost everyone has said, big guys missing games, of course, but like your voice being gone for a lot of it, if you not being not only on the ice, but kind of your leadership when you're playing and out there. What does it mean to you to have so many guys that respect your voice that much that decided it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't just have one leader, though. That's the thing. And like you saw, Martinez missed tons of games. McNabb's out for a while. Patch, missed 40 games. When you're taking a lot of veterans out of your lineup, it's tough on the ones that are left. Voices, no matter how much I talk, I got to assume that guys get sick of hearing me over and over. So you kind of have to have, that core 6 to 8 guys who have been there, who have that leadership, and I think we have it. I really do. We got guys who have won cups. We got a captain who's lifted the cup up as a captain. So we have it. It's just, it is tough when you take guys in and out. You feel like you're not a part of it. And this year I felt like it was tough for me, to voice my opinion when you're not playing, you're not battling every night with the guys. So I'll be ready for next year.